The moon hung low over the dense forest, casting long shadows on the path below. The occasional chirp of crickets and rustling of leaves in the breeze provided an eerie soundtrack to a moment that would forever change the course of Asha Varen's life. Asha, a brilliant but somewhat reclusive biologist, had always found solace in nature. Her days were often spent in the field, documenting new species and researching ecosystems. For her, the forest wasn't just a job. It was a sanctuary, a place where the world slowed down and the chaos of human life faded into the background. But tonight, the tranquility of the forest was disturbed. Asha's heart raced as she crouched behind a thick bush, watching the strange, glowing lights moving just beyond the clearing. Her breath caught in her throat. At first, she had thought it was a military experiment gone wrong, or perhaps some kind of secretive technology. However, as the lights grew more intense and the shapes more distinct, she realized she was no longer dealing with anything human. There were figures, tall, lithe, with shimmering skin that seemed to reflect the starlight. They were alien. Asha's eyes widened as she instinctively reached for her camera. She had to capture this moment, though the rational part of her mind screamed for her to leave. But the curiosity, this insatiable drive to understand, overpowered her fears. She watched as one of the figures stepped forward, its skin glistening in shades of silver and violet, and its long, curved horns shining like twin crescents. The alien moved with an elegance that was almost otherworldly, as though it was gliding above the earth rather than walking on it. She'd heard rumors, alien sightings, strange lights, a hidden government project, but she had dismissed them. Now, standing in front of a living, breathing being from another world, Asha felt her entire understanding of reality slipping away. The figure paused, its gaze scanning the surroundings, before locking eyes with her. Asha's breath hitched, and she froze, feeling an undeniable pull toward this being. The world around her seemed to shrink, leaving only the two of them in the vast, starlit night. She didn't know why, but there was something about its gaze, intense, ancient, that felt like it was seeing into the deepest parts of her soul. Before she could react, the figure moved toward her with deliberate steps. Asha's heart pounded in her chest as she took a cautious step back, but she didn't run. She couldn't. Then, without warning, the alien extended its hand. Asha's fingers twitched in the air as if they were drawn to it. It was an irrational reaction, but one that felt inevitable, like a force of nature she couldn't fight. She reached out, her hand trembling as she made contact with its fingers. The moment their skin touched, a surge of energy flowed through her, igniting her senses with a power that left her breathless. She gasped, stumbling backward, but the alien was there in an instant, steadying her with a firm grip on her arm. I didn't mean to," Asha began, her voice shaky, but the alien didn't speak in words. Instead, it tilted its head, its expression unreadable. Then, in a low, resonant voice, it spoke. "Human, you have touched me. Now you must marry me." Asha blinked. What are you talking about? Marry you? You've touched my horn. The bond is formed." The alien's voice was calm, but there was a certain finality to it, as if there was no room for argument. Asha's mind raced, the world spinning around her. No, that can't be right. I didn't." Her voice faltered, struggling to process what had just happened. "This is insane. You're not even. Not human." The alien interrupted, its golden eyes narrowing. "No, I am not. But I am Veron, and you have marked me. I am bound to you, and you to me." Asha's mouth went dry. Veron? Was that even his name? Or was it some kind of strange title? Her pulse quickened as she looked at him. No, what was he? What did he want from her? "But I don't even know you," Asha stammered, her heart still racing from the inexplicable connection she felt. "How is this even possible?" Veron stepped closer, his gaze never leaving hers. "The bond is ancient. A human who touches the horn of a Verindii, it is a sacred covenant, forged by the stars themselves. You cannot undo it. The laws of our people do not allow it." "Verindii?" Asha echoed. "Wait." Are you telling me that you're from another planet? Veyron nodded slowly, the gravity of his words settling between them like a heavy stone. Yes, I come from the planet Leoris. And now, because of your touch, you are bound to me mind, body, and soul. We are partners in this life and the next. Asha took a step back, her mind a whirlwind of questions, confusion, and disbelief. But this is impossible. We can't. This can't be real. I assure you it is, Veyron replied, his voice softening slightly. I did not seek you out, human. The bond was forged by the universe itself. It is not something we control. Asha stood there, frozen in place, her thoughts racing. There had to be some logical explanation for this, some scientific reason that could make sense of what was happening. But logic, reason, and science had no place in this moment. She had touched his horn, and now she was bound to him in ways she couldn't even begin to understand. Finally, her voice came out in a whisper. What happens now? Veyron's expression softened for the first time, the cold exterior cracking just slightly. Now we begin the journey together. The bond is only the beginning. You will learn what it means to be a part of my world, and I, yours. Asha stared at him, unsure of what to say. Her body felt electric, as though it had been altered on a molecular level, the touch of his horn still reverberating through her skin. The alien Veyron stood before her, an enigma wrapped in mystery, a being from another world who now claimed her as his partner. You will come with me, he said, his tone gentle, but there was an undeniable authority behind it. You have no choice now. The bond is unbreakable. The walk back to the hidden clearing felt like a dream, or perhaps a nightmare that Asha was unable to wake from. Her mind kept replaying the moment she'd touched Veyron's horn, her fingers grazing against the alien material that had triggered this impossible bond. She hadn't asked for it. She hadn't even believed it could be real. And yet, here she was, walking beside a being from another world, bound to him in ways her human mind could scarcely comprehend. Veyron's presence loomed beside her, an aura of quiet intensity surrounding him. His movements were smooth and deliberate, his long, shimmering form gliding through the dense underbrush with ease. It was strange to be so close to him. Even now, Asha could feel the hum of energy between them, a strange pull that tugged at her very being, as if the universe itself had chosen them to be together. Every so often, she glanced up at him, unsure of what to make of the alien before her. His skin, a blend of silver and violet, seemed to shimmer in the moonlight, casting a soft glow in the dark forest. His horns, curved and elegant, unlike anything she'd ever seen, remained a constant reminder of the bond between them. Are you always like this? Asha asked, her voice quieter than she'd intended. Veyron turned his head, his amber eyes locking with hers. Like what? She swallowed, trying to find the right words. I mean, so intense. So, she fumbled for the correct description. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I'm not used to being around someone like you. Veyron's expression softened, just a fraction. There was something about him, his regal presence, his alien nature, and yet, the way his eyes seemed to understand her in ways no human ever had. He spoke in a deep, almost melodic tone. I understand. This is as strange for me as it is for you. Asha stopped walking and turned to face him. Her eyes searched his face, looking for any sign of deception, but found none. The seriousness of his words, the weight of the bond, seemed to be as much of a burden to him as it was to her. I don't understand, she confessed. Why me? Why are you so certain that I'm the one? There's got to be a mistake. I'm just a biologist. I'm no one special. You are special, Veyron said, his voice firm. The bond is not a random act. It is a choice made long before either of us were born. Our people, the Verindii, do not form bonds lightly. When a human touches our horn, it is not by accident. The stars themselves have conspired for this moment. Asha blinked, disbelief evident on her face. Wait, the stars? Are you telling me that this bond was destined? He nodded. Yes, My people have long understood the forces that govern our existence. We are part of a cosmic order that aligns all things, our lives, our unions, our very fates toward balance. You are the one who was chosen to touch the horn, and now you must learn what that means. Asha's thoughts swirled. She couldn't reconcile the scientific part of her brain with the mysticism Veyron was describing. I'm a scientist, Veyron. I can't just accept that the stars decided something for me. That's not how the world works. And yet, here you are, he replied, his tone almost amused, in the presence of a being from another world. Your mind resists the unknown, but your heart knows it to be true. Asha shook her head, frustration rising. No, this isn't how it's supposed to be. I don't even know who you are. You don't know me. We're from two completely different worlds, Veyron. This can't be happening. Veyron's amber eyes softened as he reached out, placing a hand gently on her shoulder. I understand your confusion, Asha, and your fear, but I promise you, I did not seek this bond. It was not my choice either, but it is now our reality. She swallowed, feeling the heat of his touch seep into her skin, sending a ripple of warmth through her chest. She tried to pull away, but somehow her body didn't want to. The pull between them was undeniable, like gravity itself was shifting to keep them close. Come with me, he said, his voice steady. Let me show you my world. Let me show you what it means to be bound to someone of my kind. Asha wanted to refuse, wanted to tell him to leave her alone. But a part of her, somewhere deep inside, wanted to know more. She wanted answers. And despite the overwhelming nature of everything happening, there was a spark of curiosity in her heart that urged her forward. I don't have much of a choice, do I? She muttered. Veyron didn't respond immediately, but his gaze softened, as though understanding her reluctance. Finally, he nodded. No, you do not. They walked for what felt like hours, the forest growing thicker around them as they ventured deeper into the wilderness. Eventually, they came to a hidden clearing, one that Asha hadn't seen before. The trees here were enormous, their trunks twisting and curling toward the sky like ancient guardians. At the center of the clearing stood a massive, glowing structure, its design both alien and familiar at the same time. This is where we must go, Veyron said, gesturing toward the structure. It is a place of transition, where the bond is solidified. Asha's heart raced. She hesitated, glancing between the building and Veyron. There was something so serene about the place, almost sacred, yet she couldn't shake the feeling of dread that settled in her stomach. What happens here? She asked, her voice quiet. Veyron stepped forward, his gaze never leaving her. This is where we will become fully attuned to each other. The bond will strengthen, and you will come to understand the connection between us. It will be like nothing you have ever experienced. She swallowed hard. The uncertainty was overwhelming, but she couldn't back out now. And after that, what does this mean for me? For us? Veyron gave her a long, considering look before answering. After this, you will know what it means to be a part of my world. You will understand what it means to share not only our bond but our fate. You will learn how to navigate both our worlds, and in time we will learn to trust each other. But that trust must be earned. Asha nodded slowly, her heart thundering in her chest. She didn't know if she was ready for any of this, but there was no turning back now. Asha stood at the edge of the clearing, her heart pounding with uncertainty. The structure before her was a marvel of alien design, its glowing walls pulsing with a soft, ethereal light that seemed to invite them in. It wasn't like anything she had ever seen before, both organic and mechanical, as if the building itself were alive. The air around it shimmered, as though it were wrapped in an invisible force field. Veyron had already started walking toward the entrance, his long strides purposeful, his body moving like a shadow in the glow of the structure. She hesitated, the weight of everything pressing down on her shoulders. This wasn't just a strange encounter anymore. It wasn't just curiosity. No, Asha had crossed a line. She had touched his horn, and now they were bound together, in ways that defied logic and reason. You're afraid, Veyron said softly, his voice carrying over the quiet hum of the alien structure. Asha started, realizing he had been watching her. I don't know what to think anymore, she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't know if I'm ready for this. He turned to face her, the amber glow of his eyes reflecting the soft light of the structure. It is not a matter of readiness. The bond is unbreakable, but that does not mean it must be without understanding. Come, Asha. The ritual will show you what it means to be bound to me. Taking a deep breath, Asha stepped forward, feeling the pull between them again, like an invisible thread tethering her to Veyron. She had to admit part of her was drawn to him, not just physically but emotionally. There was something in his presence that made her feel alive, something she couldn't put into words. As she approached the structure, she noticed intricate markings on the ground, glowing softly beneath her feet. The symbols were unlike anything she had ever seen. They twisted and spiraled, creating an ancient pattern that seemed to pulse with life. Veyron moved forward without hesitation, stepping onto the glowing symbols as if they were familiar to him. Step onto the markings, Veyron instructed, his voice gentle. They will guide you through the process. Asha hesitated only for a moment before following him. As soon as her feet made contact with the glowing symbols, she felt a shift. It was as though the very air around her had changed, vibrating with a subtle energy she had never experienced before. The world seemed to fade away, leaving only her and Veyron in the center of the clearing. The structure around them began to hum, its walls glowing brighter, and Asha felt a wave of warmth wash over her. She looked at Veyron, who was standing in the center of the formation, his expression serene but focused. What is this? Asha asked, her voice tight. This is the beginning of the bonding ritual, he explained. It is a process of attunement. We will merge our energies so that you may fully understand the nature of our connection. You will feel everything I feel. You will know me, and I will know you. Asha's heart raced as the air around them shimmered, and a strange sensation began to fill her chest. It wasn't painful, but it was intense. It was as if something inside her was being unlocked, something deep and ancient. The bond between them, however strange it felt, was no longer just a concept. It was becoming real, tangible. She could feel it stirring inside her like a living thing, growing stronger with every passing second. Relax, Asha, Veyron said, his voice a steady anchor in the storm of emotions she was experiencing. Trust the process. I will guide you. Asha took a shaky breath, trying to center herself. As much as she wanted to fight it, the connection between them was undeniable. She had felt it the moment they touched, and now it was pulling at her in ways she couldn't explain. It was as if her very soul was calling out to his. Then, with a soft click, the symbols on the ground began to move, shifting and rearranging themselves in intricate patterns that made Asha's head spin. She watched in awe as they spun and intertwined, creating a web of light and energy that surrounded them both. The humming grew louder, and Asha's vision blurred for a moment. She gasped as her body began to respond to the ritual, her senses becoming sharper. She could feel Veyron's emotions, his calm, his certainty, his fear. She could hear the beat of his heart, feel the pulse of his energy as if it were her own. It was overwhelming, but also deeply intimate. A part of her wanted to pull away, to resist, but the other part, her heart, wanted nothing more than to give herself to this experience. Suddenly, she felt Veyron's hands on her shoulders, steadying her. His touch was gentle but firm, grounding her in the chaos that swirled around them. Let go, Asha, he whispered, his voice low and soothing. Let the bond take shape. You will understand soon. As the ritual continued, Asha felt her consciousness begin to merge with Veyron's. It wasn't just a physical sensation, it was mental, emotional. She could sense his thoughts, his memories, his dreams. She felt the weight of his life, his struggles, his pain. But she also felt his love. Deep, unconditional love. For something she didn't fully understand yet. In return, Asha realized that Veyron was feeling her emotions too. He could sense her doubts, her fears, her confusion. But he could also feel her curiosity, her strength, her fierce independence. The connection between them was not just one of obligation or cosmic fate. It was a blending of two souls, two lives, and two very different worlds. But as the ritual reached its peak, something unexpected happened. Asha's vision blurred, and the energy coursing through her surged violently. She gasped, clutching at Veyron's arm as her body trembled with the force of it. I can't take it," she whispered, her voice shaking with the intensity of the experience. "It's too much. I can't." Veyron's grip on her tightened, his expression filled with determination. "You are not alone in this, Asha. I am with you, always." His words cut through the chaos, and Asha felt herself calming, grounding herself in his steady presence. Slowly, the energy began to subside, the light from the structure dimming as the ritual came to its conclusion. Asha stood there, panting slightly, her body still humming with the remnants of the energy. She looked at Veyron, her heart pounding in her chest. That was intense," Veyron finished for her, his voice soft. "But it is done now. The bond is complete." Asha nodded slowly, still trying to process everything that had just happened. She felt different in ways she couldn't explain. It wasn't just the physical sensations, but the deep, almost spiritual connection she now shared with Veyron. It was as though their very beings were intertwined, inseparable. But as she looked at him, a new understanding began to settle in her heart. She wasn't alone anymore. No matter how confusing or overwhelming it felt, this bond was real, and it was theirs to navigate together. "We will need to learn to live with this bond, Asha," Veyron said quietly. "It will not always be easy, but together we will find our way." Asha took a deep breath, her chest rising and falling with the weight of his words. She wasn't sure what the future held, but for the first time, she wasn't afraid to face it. She had a partner now, a partner from another world, and that was something she never thought she'd have. The night had fallen silent once more, but the air in the clearing was thick with unspoken words and shared emotions. Asha stood close to Veyron, her body still vibrating with the remnants of the bonding ritual, the connection between them now fully established. She could feel the weight of their union in every cell, every heartbeat. It was as if her very existence had been altered, not just by the physical touch of his horn, but by something deeper, something that transcended language, culture, and even species. She glanced up at him, her eyes searching his face, as though hoping to find some answer to the whirlwind of thoughts and emotions swirling within her. Veyron stood beside her, his form taller and more imposing, yet there was a calmness in his gaze now. The intensity that had marked him earlier had softened, replaced with something akin to understanding. "You said this bond would be a challenge," she began, her voice steady but still laced with the remnants of uncertainty. "I'm starting to understand what you meant. But Veyron, what now?" He met her gaze, the amber light in his eyes flickering with a quiet strength. "Now, Asha, we build something new. Together." Her heart fluttered at his words, a mix of hope and hesitation rising within her. Together. That word echoed in her mind. It was a promise, but it was also a responsibility. She had never expected anything like this to happen to her. Not with someone so alien, so different. "But we come from two completely different worlds," she murmured, her voice unsure. "How do we make this work? We don't even understand each other's cultures, let alone our lives." Veyron took a step closer, his presence enveloping her like a protective cloak. "We will learn, Asha. That is the nature of this bond. You will come to understand my world, and I will come to understand yours. You may not see it now, but our lives are no longer separate. Our fates are intertwined." The weight of his words settled in her chest, heavy and yet somehow comforting. She had always prided herself on being independent, on having control over her life and choices. But in this moment, as she stood beside Veyron, someone who was both so different and yet so fundamentally the same, she realized something profound. Perhaps the key to this bond wasn't understanding everything right away. Maybe it was in trusting each other, step by step, as they moved forward into the unknown. "I've spent my life studying the unknown," she said softly, looking up at him. But I've never had to live it. This bond is more than I ever imagined. But I can't ignore the truth of it. Veyron reached out, gently cupping her cheek with one of his hands. His touch so tender it made her breath catch in her throat. You are not alone in this, Asha. I will be here always to guide you, to walk beside you. No matter what comes, we will face it together. Asha's heart beat faster at his words. The weight of her own doubts began to lift. For the first time, she felt the solid certainty of his presence. No longer alien, no longer distant, but real. He was here. He had always been here, even before their paths had crossed. She could feel it now in the depth of her heart. Her eyes softened as she leaned into his touch. I don't know what the future holds, Veyron, but I don't want to face it alone. Not anymore. Veyron's face softened in return, his eyes reflecting something deeper now. Something beyond the bond, something personal. Neither do I. As he leaned closer, Asha felt her breath catch, her pulse quickening. This wasn't just the connection between them that was pulling her forward now. It was something more, a choice. Her choice. To embrace this strange, impossible union. To take this leap of faith with him. With a soft exhale, Asha closed the distance between them, pressing her lips to his in a kiss that was gentle but filled with the promise of something far greater. She could feel the hum of the bond between them intensify, a soft, electrifying current of energy that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their hearts. When they finally pulled away, Asha rested her forehead against his, both of them breathing softly, their bodies in perfect sync. The world around them felt distant, as though time had stopped and they were the only two beings in existence. Asha, Veyron whispered, his voice thick with emotion. You are mine, and I am yours. The stars may have brought us together, but it is we who will decide what comes next. Our love, our bond, it is a creation of our own. She smiled softly, a warmth spreading through her chest. And I'll be with you, no matter what that means. He nodded, his smile faint but genuine. Then let us begin our journey together, one step at a time. Asha took a deep breath, feeling the certainty of her decision settling in her bones. The world outside may still be uncertain, but in this moment, standing beside Veyron, she knew that whatever came next, whatever trials they would face, whatever differences they would overcome, they would do it together. For the first time, she allowed herself to fully embrace the truth of their bond. It wasn't just some cosmic accident. It was a partnership, a choice to face the unknown, to love and learn from one another, and to build something strong from the ashes of their confusion and fear. And so, with the first rays of dawn creeping through the trees, Asha and Veyron walked hand in hand into their future, their bond stronger than ever. They were no longer two separate beings, living in different worlds. Now they were one, a human and an alien, two souls intertwined by fate, but bound by choice. Together, they would face whatever came their way, and whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them as one.